close the door behind you. You're now in the green room.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of The Green Room. I'm in the green room today with the legendary Jonathan Foga.
Nice one.
What's going on, boss?
I'm here. Finally here.
Yeah, man. It's a pleasure to have you in the green room with me today. You're in the Lucian Musicians arena as well. I've had the pleasure of featuring you on the Lucian Musicians platform a couple of times. And I must say you're a very talented bassist. I really appreciate your approach to the instrument. I appreciate your sound. And so, yeah, I'm really happy and excited about the conversation we're going to be having today.
It's a pleasure to be here, and I always appreciate the support. You guys are amazing,
Thank
it's
you.
really nice to have a page like that where you can just showcase the talent in the Caribbean because we got a lot of it. So
yeah, man, it's overflowing, man. Like I tell you every single day, because I try to keep a cadence of posting in the mornings and the evenings. And there's never one day when I wake up and I say, oh gosh, boy, but they really have nothing to post. They have nobody I could really feature today. That does not happen. It has never happened. Because we overflow with talent in the Caribbean, and we're a very talented people. Yeah. So yeah, man. First off, when I discovered you in my Lucian Musicians journeys for social media, I saw a little bit about is it Enda Manley College?
Yeah, Edna Manley College.
Yeah, what can you tell me about that place?
All right, so Edna Manley is a school that is made just for the performing arts, and not just music alone, but we have a dance school on the campus, we have a drama school, we have an art school, and it's just the school's main focus is to nurture the talent in Jamaica and around the Caribbean because we do have international students and just kind of help people discover who they are and just help them to build on their craft.
Right. Oh wow, man, that sounds like a dream come true for a lot of folks right there. And I wish we had an institution like that in St. Lucia, and more of those institutions across the region for sure. Um, how did that institution come about? Was it government sponsored, or was it private person, or what?
Well, the school was actually founded by, well, the namesake of the school, which is Edna Manley. So
Right.
she kind of she kind of founded the school. So yeah.
Okay, who is that? Who's Edna Manley?
Edna Manley is somebody very iconic in Jamaica for a lot of reasons, actually. You know, but the main thing was her love of art. Like she just loved the art. So I guess out of her love for it, she just came up. She just thought, let me just create this school to just help the upcoming generation hone in on their talent. So
Okay, yeah, cool. Well, shout out to Edna Manley. She had a profound,
yeah,
profound effect on the entire region just by founding that institution right there. Um, yeah, man. So let's dig into you a little bit.
okay.
The Foga story. Let's talk about the Foga story. The Jonathan story. How did you become the bassist that you are today? How did you get started on this journey? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, so growing up, I was always involved in music because I was born into a musical family. So
Okay.
music was always a part of me. I actually started out as a lot of musicians as a drummer. I was a drummer from the age of 6, and then it wasn't until back in 2015 I actually made the switch to bass. Now, how that happened was in the Christmas of 2014, there was this big gospel concert that was keeping at this place. And my father was like, yo, Jono, come with me. And I was like, where are we going? He's like, we're going to this concert. And I see him packing this old amp he has in the car. He's like, Daddy, where are you going with the amp? He says he's lending it to a friend who's playing at the concert. And so I go there and I don't know. I was just watching this guy play the bass and I was like, this is pretty cool. And so after that, we had this old four string at the house and I used to just start fiddling around with it. I didn't even know how to play a major scale yet till I was on YouTube trying to learn solos by Abraham Laboriel. Like I knew everything about the bass. And then it's like my father realized I was taking interest in it. And so one day this big FedEx van shows up outside the house and I was like, what's going on? My father brings in this huge box and inside it was a brand new five string that he
Okay.
bought for me. And so I just never looked back from then.
All right. All right. So you did say that you were from a musical family. So
Yeah.
what like how exactly is your family involved in music?
Well, my father is a singer, songwriter slash pianist. My mother
Okay.
is actually a music teacher. She teaches at the primary school over here in Jamaica. She's a singer as well and a pianist as well. My brother is a drummer. I mean, a lot of people in my family are musicians or singers. So,
Hmm. And do you know how far back that started? Because I'm always very interested when people come from musical families. Like, is it like your great grandfather, that was a musician and it all just came down to.
well, from the stories I've heard of those generations, my great
Mm,
grandfather and those people, yeah, it's just been in our family for years. Like, if you
mm,
weren't a musician, you were a singer, or you
right,
were both.
right. Yeah, man. That's a gift right there because I've always admired that when people come from musical families because uh, for some of us who don't, and for me, I think I'm kind of a hybrid because folks in my family sing and so on. But for people who come from a background where the people in your family are not as musical as you are, there's things you might hear, or there's ideas that you have, or there's even things that you might play, and then there's nobody around you to appreciate these things, and
Yeah,
that
I
can be,
know, I know, I know.
you know. So yeah, that's a real gift right there, man. Um, so in addition to coming from a musical family, is your background musically also religious? Because I noticed that you play for a lot of worship events. There's one of my favorites that you share with us in the arena sometimes.
Um, y- you could say it's religious. I mean, I was born into a Christian family. I was
Hmm.
born into the church. So
Right.
when I was a little kid, all I knew was God. And so growing up, He has been a very central part of my life and my musical journey. So I tend to draw more to the worship style music and the worship style performances. I mean, I do other genres, but mainly I'm a gospel musician.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the there's this worship Vesper, I think it is, that you play for with Wigman.
John Mike Wigan?
Yeah. uh
Yeah.
yeah, I really appreciate that, man. I look at the videos when you share them in the arena, and yeah, it's a vibe. You guys do a really good job. I like the band that you guys have together playing there. um what can you tell the listeners about that event there?
Um, about the event itself.
Yeah, well, anything you want to say about it.
Well, that particular video that I posted was for a online crusade that Sherwin Gardner was keeping
Hmm.
recently, and so he had asked John Mark because Sherwin and John Mark have they have a relationship where they told him know each other from full time. And so Sherwin asked John Mark if he could do a set for the crusade. And he said, sure. So John Mark comes in our group and John Mark's like, yo, we got work to do. And everybody just like time and place because, COVID time, everybody kind of missed being in the studio and getting to just vibe with one another. So when he said, yo, we got work to do, everybody was just, we got work to do. So we went to a local studio that we use, which is called Crosslink Studio, run by our good friend Dexter Johnson. And we spent like there was a 2 hour rehearsal. So we spent the first hour running through the set, and then the second hour we recorded it.
Right. Now you said a local studio that you guys used. Where are we talking about? What location in Jamaica are we talking about here?
That would be in the Kingston region. For anybody that knows Kingston, it's in the Crossroads region.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I definitely want to encourage y'all to keep that content coming. Y'all sound really good. I'm excited to see where that goes. I actually had a similar idea to do something similar in St. Lucia, which is where I'm based now. Who knows? We'll see how that goes. It's still just an idea for now. But I like to work. Yeah. Let's see if it can happen. Right now I see you holding a bass on your lap.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually practicing, and then the reminder came up on my phone, and I was like, I don't have time to put it up, so I just keep
it. Man's at work, but grinding. Yeah, but what kind of bass is that? Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, this is my second ever bass. This was the first one I actually bought, and it's a Squire by Fender, a Squire vintage modified 70s jazz bass. People call it the bargain bass, or the bargain version of like the Fender Jazz.
Yeah.
Because
those people don't know what
like
they're talking
half
about.
the price. It's half the price.
It's half the price, but it has so much quality, right?
Yeah.
So much quality in the Squires. I'm not here for the people that try to talk down to the Squire, man. Yeah, I'll go to war for the Squire. I'm telling you.
Nah, it's an amazing bass. Like, ever since I got it, I've just been carrying it everywhere. Because I just like first of all how it looks is awesome, and then the tones you can get from it, it's pretty nice. And for a passive bass, it really packs a punch.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man. I used to have a Squire Jazz back in the day, and through a story that I told to Keen Jules or Kian Jules, I always mess up his name, but I actually lost that bass, and I got a ESP LTD 6-string. You've probably seen her around. People tend to buy that bass a lot. I see that bass all over.
Yeah.
I have a Sire V7, as well.
Nice.
So the
That's
Sire
another
is
good
really
bargain
what.
bass.
Yeah, the Sire is what I use the most. I haven't done anything with the LTD for a while, but I'm probably going to try to play a little cover or something with the LTD, maybe next month or later this month or something. Yeah, man, but definitely, yeah. The Squire is a good choice. Really, really good bass. What do you think about Lakelands or Lackland, however you say it?
Well, from what I know of them, they're really nice basses. I mean, I've never used one. No, wait, I used one once, and that was when I went to Toronto, and I met up with my bro up there, Jamal,
Mm-hmm.
and he has like a ton of Lackland basses. And so I went to this church that he was playing at, and I tried it out there, and it was a really nice bass. So for me, it's really nice. I like the tone you get from them, and then the design's really nice.
All right. Have you ever heard Thaddeus Johnson?
That is, yes, yeah,
What do you
yeah,
think of his tone?
man. I just, I'll leave it at this. I really just appreciate that kind of tone, and just like when you're able to just like make a tone that really stands out to people,
All right.
it credit is due.
All right. Yeah, there was this whole thing on social media of people asking him like, what did you do to the electronics? What did you do to the pickups? You know, what did you do to this? What did you do to that? To get your tone. I think that's really a mistake when people say that too, because there's a vast amount of your tone that comes from right here, right in your hands, right?
True,
Um,
true.
but of course there is a small amount, a much smaller amount that does come from your electronics, does come from your setup and the type of bass that you're playing, the wood you're using, and so on. Have you made any modifications to your Squire?
No, it is completely stock. It is
All right.
completely stock.
All right. All right. Do you intend on making any modifications, or are you satisfied with what you have?
Um, I mean, the only thing I would probably do to it is put in a preamp, but I probably might not. The only reason I do that is because a lot of times when I go to certain places, depending on who's mixing, like who's engineering, the engineer will be like, "Yo, can you turn up the bass some more? It's too quiet and stuff." 'Cause in Jamaica, we like the bass to be, punching.
All right.
So I mean, that's the only thing I'd probably do to it. But the only reason I haven't decided on if I'm going to do it is because I have a equalizer pedal that I use sometimes, a Boss EQ that I use. So I use that to get an extra punch sometimes. So I'm still in the air about it because I like how it is right now. It's like just stock. So,
Yeah, hey, man. There's nothing that says you have to come out of the stock. My side stock, at least. Um, Wait, did I lose sound?
yeah, you kind of chipped out a bit, but you came back now.
Okay. So ain't nothing wrong with stock, man. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about who you admire musically. I know, because here's the thing. I'll tell you, when I'm scouting for Lucian musicians, um I see a lot of content every day. I see a lot of musicians, and there are some names that I see in some random places. Like, you'll be looking at somebody all the way in California, you'll be looking at somebody all the way in France, and you'll see some names underneath. I'm like, yep. uh, and your name is one of those, man. I've seen your name under some musicians that I would not expect you to know, or some people that I know that I didn't know that you knew, and stuff like that. So who are some people that you admire, that you'd like to share with us?
Well, as I was telling you earlier, when I just started my whole journey, my favorite bass player at that time was Abraham Laborio. Like, he was just the guy, like his solo in Ancient Days was literally the first thing I learned on bass. Before I even knew how to play a major scale, that was the first thing I learned on bass. And I just always respected him. I just loved how he was just enjoying himself every time he plays. Because, Abraham's not a guy to sit still when he's playing.
Right.
So, I mean, there's him, obviously Vic, Victor, real awesome guy,
Yeah.
real humble guy too, and just full of so much knowledge. And then you have the modern guys too, like you have Frank, you got
Now,
Snoop.
hold on. You for Victor there, you said a real humble guy. The way you were describing it, it kind of sounded like you have met him in person. Have you?
Well, I haven't met him in person, but I have been blessed enough to sit in a class with him and learn from him
Okay.
virtually.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Okay. How was that?
it was awesome because a lot of people, like when they're keeping master classes like that, you tend to find that the way how they explain things, it's just for the instrument they play. But nah, not with Vic. Like when I looked through the class, there were drummers in there were keyboard players in there were even vocalists in there, and it's like everybody was getting something from what he was saying because he just had so much knowledge, and the way how he shares it with you, it was just incredible.
Okay. Yeah, man. When I was talking to Fia only about 2 months ago, she said exactly the same thing. And so you're even adding even further credibility to what she shared with us when she told us about her experience with Victor as well. But sorry for cutting you short. You were mentioning Frank and some other more modern bassists as well.
Yeah, I was talking like Frank and Snoop and obviously Justin Rames and a few other guys. And then a lot of I tend to, while those guys mean a lot to me, you have a lot of local bass players down here who I really look up to and things. Yeah.
Yeah, guys like who? I know I might not know them personally, but you can give them a shout out.
Well, for instance, you have people like Carlton Jarrett who plays for our local artist Jermaine Edwards,
Hmm.
and
I've
you
I've
have
heard of Jamaican, yeah.
yeah, and then you have a bass player by the name of Ron Mattison who plays for Kevin Downswell down here. So there's actually a lot of guys. Like if I start naming them, I'd probably pick up the whole chat. So they know themselves.
All right, all right. Yeah, man. And there's this guy who, while you were talking, I just remembered him. I think he's the MD, and I might be wrong on whether he is the MD, but he definitely plays for DJ Nicholas, or used to play for DJ
Carl
Nicholas.
Gibson.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Carl Gibson.
Carl Gibson.
Yeah, I love his approach to the instrument, man. Yeah, Carl Gibson is
Carl,
yeah.
Carl's like a Jamaican veteran when it comes to gospel music.
All right. When you say a veteran, what did he do before?
Like, so there was a time when in Jamaica, you can see when 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 the generations change over, like 1 minute you're seeing this band everywhere, and the next minute you're seeing this band everywhere. Carl Gibson was a part of that band that you would just see at like every gospel show in Jamaica. Every gospel show, you just see Carl Gibson there with his bass, with his team, ready to just knock you out the park with some awesome music. And he inspired a lot of the guys nowadays. Like if you mention Carl Gibson to a lot of them nowadays bass players in Jamaica, but a lot of the nowadays guys that are into gospel, a lot of them will know who you're talking about.
All right. Okay. Yeah, that sounds about right because he's a very talented guy. Um, can you tell us a little bit about like what is the Jamaican music culture like for a musician? Well, what's it like in Jamaica as a musician, uh, a working musician there?
Um, well, I mean, being a musician in Jamaica is it's a very interesting journey because you have so much different types of musicians here. You got, you have obviously the gospel musicians. You have the
Right.
guys that do reggae as their main genre. So
Yeah. Right.
a lot of guys like, for people like for instance that play for like Capleton and all these people. And then you have the hotel musicians now who are, it's like they're a different set of people. It's like they're different. Like every set of musicians in Jamaica, you can see some form of difference from the other one. Like the gospel musicians are kind of different from the reggae guys. The reggae guys are different from the hotel musicians. And so there's a lot of opportunities, but at the same time, there's a lot of there's a lot of competition sometimes, depending on where you are. But not competition like bad competition, but good competition like motivation and stuff. And guys always pushing guys to be better. So
Right.
I'd say being a musician in Jamaica is a really nice experience just because of the music and the culture.
Right. Okay. Um, now you mentioned all these different types of guys. Is it a situation where if you're, let's say you're a gospel musician or you're a reggae musician, you can't like overlap into the other genre?
Oh no. You can overlap, but it's like depending on your background and depending on who you want to be,
Yeah.
will like you'll find yourself going along a certain path in Jamaica. So like for instance, I'm mainly a gospel musician, but I will do a reggae show every now and then. You know what I mean? Hotel work is kind of different because hotel work requires you full time at your job. So you'll constantly be in the hotel at night playing for the tourists and entertaining people, and your that's your lifestyle. But nah, you can do whatever you want as long as you can handle the work. You can do whatever you want.
All right. So, what would you say your plans are? I know you're saying that you lean in the gospel direction, but if I let's imagine I were a genie, right, and I could grant you any wish, and give you exactly what you want for your career, what would that look like for you?
But if we're saying exactly what I want, I'd want to be at a place where you have your own studio, and but at the same time you're a professional musician in regards to your your touring and stuff. Because that's my goal. My goal is to get out there, get around the world,
Mhm.
and really spread the name of Jesus mostly, because that's what's important to me. And
Right.
just have a good time, meet other musicians from other places, build friendship, build connections, and just help to grow the whole music family.
Right. Yeah, that sounds really good to me, man. And I know with your work ethic, and with your sound, I definitely see that in your future. Uh, I remember
Appreciate it.
earlier in the conversation there you mentioned that you were in Canada, and you played with Jamal. Um, was that a tour that you were on there, or were you there for some other?
Nah, I was there as a tourist. My
Okay,
family, because I have an aunt, she lives in Toronto, and we went up to see her. And it's funny because the church that she goes to, Jamal plays there, so
okay,
that's where we met up. But nah, I was just there on vacation.
okay, cool. Yeah, it's a small world, man, because Jamal
It is.
plays with my friend Liam as well.
Yeah, I know Liam.
Did you meet him while you were there?
No, I didn't get to meet Liam.
Okay. All right. But you just know him from like features and okay. Yeah, man. And it's so funny how social media works because it's like you know all these people, but you don't really know them. Everybody's connected via this social media thing, but we're also not really connected, So uh, when it comes to Lucian musicians, I really try my best to push the platform to connect people beyond just the fickle feature on the page, beyond just maybe a like on a post, but towards more open discourse and actual connection. And that's a work in progress, and I'm committed to working in that direction for a long time, and that's why we're here. um,
That's why we're here.
yeah, man. Did you see Kiara's feature this morning?
I did, and it's funny because that's a video I watched like a lot of times. When I first met Kiera, I, I was just so fascinated by her playing. So I just like went through her page, just watching all the videos I could find, and I watched that video and I was like, wow, this girl can really play.
Yeah, man. Kiara's a bad girl, man. You know.
Yes, yes.
uh, yeah, and I had a really good time talking to her on what month was that? That was a few months ago. I think it was
I
June.
think so.
Yeah, I think it was June or May. We sat down and talked about a lot of stuff, and she's a really cool person. But yeah, I love that old gospel stuff. I love that choir music. Hey man, I'm telling you, that choir music that's my thing right there. Um,
Yeah,
that's
old
something.
school music is the place to be.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Morgan Turner?
Yes, yes,
Yeah. So
yeah.
if you saw that caption this morning, I mentioned that he was telling us about the old stuff, right? And the way that happened was I was at my college where I used to play with Liam, as we mentioned earlier, and Jonathan Nelson came in to yeah play a concert, and Morgan Turner was playing behind him. And after, as musicians would always do, we walk up and, we're just chatting with him, and we just ask him like, "Hey, man, like what sort of advice would you?" I think I was the one that asked it because I always have a big mouth. So, I was like, "Hey, man, what sort of advice would you offer us? Something that we can work on and get better?" And he was like, "Hey, man, just learn the old stuff. Learn the old stuff." Um, and I found that to be good advice, because, and I want to get your opinion on this. Sometimes, and I hesitate to say this because this is a very controversial statement here, sometimes,
Okay, here we go.
sometimes the older stuff is a lot more meaty. It's a lot more challenging than some of the new directions that particularly gospel music is going in. Because I'm kind of in your stream. I'm very much more of a gospel worship musician than I am anything else. And that's kind of been my experience. What do you think about that?
Well, to be honest, me and you actually share the same view on the matter because I always tell people like if people come to me and people are like, "Yo, can you recommend some music that I should listen to like help my playing?" I'll always send them to old school. Like I'll send them to old school Fred, back in the day, Kirk,
Yeah, yeah,
Brooklyn Tabernacle,
yeah,
all these people. Because the music in those days, yes, it had arrangement, but you could feel the music back in the day more. Like for instance, I mentioned Fred. If you have you ever watched the Radical for Christ video
yeah,
on
man.
YouTube?
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
concert, yeah,
Yeah.
man. Like when they're doing "Let the Praise Begin," that
Right,
was one of the nicest grooves I've ever heard. Like it just makes you want to move. And
right.
I'm not saying that nowadays music is bad, and I'm not saying that nowadays Fred is bad or anything. I don't want anybody to get me wrong on that
Yeah.
because Red Camp is doing their thing. Frank is doing their thing, D'Lo, Mark, all of them doing their thing. But I just feel like the old school music in terms of connecting with you, hands down, yeah, it reaches way deeper.
Right. So I have a couple of theories here, just swimming around in my head. One of them is that part of the reason the music has dropped slightly in potency is because labels realize that a hit is normally like a
Yeah.
3 or 4 chord song. Right? So you think about like your cornerstone. I hope it nothing less. Like it's only 3 or 4 chords. And the thing is, I had this
Ah,
yeah, man, I had this worship leader who I'm good friends with, who I should hit up because I haven't spoken to him for a while. But this worship leader told us, because he would lead for congregations that weren't all black. So,
mhm,
sometimes when you lead for a congregation that's not all black, you have to think, okay, as a worship leader, how do I reach these people? How do I uh, tailor my set to reach as many people as
Yeah.
possible. And he was saying that a lot of the
Yeah.
times when you lead in that kind of space, a lot of the times people who are not from the Black, Caribbean, African American background, they just don't know how to sing some of the songs. Like some things that you see as simple because you're so familiar with those
Yeah.
kinds of melodies, some of the other folks can't really follow that, you know? And so
Mhm.
I see a lot of new gospel music, which I like a lot, following that kind of trend. What do you think?
Um, well, I mean, it's a good thing because it shows that while while people are coming up with all these nice, crazy arrangements and stuff, you have the few that they take a page out of the old school book where, you know, as much as we want to make a name for ourselves, we still got to remember, especially in gospel, that the most important part of the song is the message.
Right.
Now, you could create one of the best arrangements ever, but if at the end of the day people don't get the message, that song was basically a waste of time
All right.
because the lyrics, and I know it's controversial because a lot of musicians are like, well, how can you say that? Like we're not important, but it's I'm being honest.
Yeah.
In a song, the lyrics are the most important thing.
Yeah.
Musicians are made to accompany the singer and help to enhance the experience.
All right. Yeah. The way I see it is kind of like uh, a musician being the vehicle and the delivery driver.
Yeah.
and and, and what we're doing is delivering the lyrics to the person's mind and heart and soul, you know. But you know, at the end of the day, what we really are is delivery people, you know. And so we have to have something good and something nice to deliver, right?
Yeah, because I mean, if you're delivering a pizza, you just want to get the pizza from A to B while it's
All
still
right.
hot.
All
You
right.
don't want to collect the pizza and then you're in the road, you're drag racing this guy, you're doing some donuts over there,
All right.
you're drifting around the corners, and then when you reach there, the pizza's cold.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
like that's our job. Our job is to get the message to the people in a way that they can enjoy what they're hearing, but at the same time, they can be impacted by the message of the song. And it's
Right.
not just for gospel; it's for music in general. Every
Absolutely.
song has a message.
Yeah, man. And yeah, I didn't think about the delivery analogy too much before I said it, but I really like it, you know. Yeah, man, because it's true. And the thing is, it's a great way to get younger musicians or musicians who are more inexperienced to understand their role, and in doing so, really enhance their craft. Because very often you'll find, okay, let's say at the end of a worship song, right? Where the energy has dropped, um, and it's kind of more of a meditative space, right? Where people are, you know, thinking or, you know, exhorting and you know, a more inexperienced musician or a musician who doesn't understand the concept of delivery might see a
It's a praise
space.
break.
Yeah, you see a little space and you're like, yeah, boy, I know a lick that would just fit so well in in that space. And it takes some maturity to just say, you know what? That lick is not needed there. It does not help you deliver your message in that moment. You understand? So yeah, man.
Yeah.
Remember, folks.
Um.
Yeah,
Yeah.
be a good delivery driver. That's all we're saying.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. You basically summed it up there. 'Cause, I mean, a lot of people down here when they come to me and like they're saying, "Yo, I rate you playing and stuff." I'm saying thanks, but I mean, I didn't really do much, and that's the key to why you like it. Because a lot of people is like, "Yo, where you get all these crazy ideas, and I've leveled with them a lot of times, and I've said, really and truly, I don't have as much ideas as you think. What I have is placement.
Right,
You
right.
know, if you know where something can best be placed to help enhance the music and not just be oh, look at me moment,
Yeah.
then you're a better musician than a lot of people who just think, oh, if I just play every last run that I know on this bass between the time the song starts and the time the song's done, you know, like yeah,
Yeah, let me give you a story, right? Because this is funny to me. What you just said made me remember this. I was playing somewhere with some guys, right? I'm not going to give any details, so
uh-huh.
nobody nobody knows what they're talking about. Yeah, so I played somewhere with some guys, and a guitarist uh, was playing with us, and he had a solo in there, right? And he comes in, and the atmosphere in worship there wasn't really, people weren't really connecting, right? And so there was a part of the song where he had a solo, and this guy was extremely talented, right? And like very, very talented, one of the best guitarists I've ever met. And this guy comes in and he cranks his overdrive, and he just lays into his solo, and just blazes the solo. And then after the
Yeah,
solo and the whole thing, nobody really reacted. He did the solo, the crowd was like, okay, all right, cool, that's nice. And after, we get back into the green room area or whatever, and the man tell us, yeah, I don't understand. Nobody reacted to my solo. The thing is, it's not about that, man. That's not
it's
what it's
not.
about. It's about the
It's
delivery.
not
It's
that.
about the placement, reading the space that you're in, you know?
It's not. That's where a lot of musicians go wrong. Like they're focusing on the wrong things when it comes to what they should be focusing on while they're playing. Like they're focusing on crowd reaction. They're focusing on, oh, that big musician's over there at side stage watching me. Got to make a good impression, so that when I come off the stage, you'll be, you know, you got some talent, youngster, and thing, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because I've helped a lot of people because a lot of people have come to me for my advice, and I've told them, the best thing you can do is I don't tell them to necessarily play for yourself, but think about the music and think about what you're adding to the music when you're playing. Don't just don't play to impress, play to enhance.
All right.
That's like my main thing. That's my whole motto. Like I don't play to impress. I play to enhance. I want at the end of the day, you can come to me same way and say, yo, I like your playing and I love what it did for the song. Cause that's when I feel best. Not when somebody comes and says, yo, I like that run, or yo, I like when you were doing that slap and pluck part. But nah, I like to hear when people come and say, I like what you did and I like how it helped the music, because that means they're listening to everything
All
and
right.
not just you.
Right. Right. Yeah, absolutely, man. And I definitely concur with that. Um, I know you mentioned earlier that what you have more than anything else is placement. How would you say you developed that placement? And also, how would you encourage people to develop placement? Where does that come from?
Well, my placement comes from, but really and truly, my placement comes from my father,
Hmm.
being that when I was growing up, I was one of the wildest dudes ever. Like I was, and on my musical journey, my father, he taught to me a lot, and he taught me that, you know, it's nice when you can play all those things, but it's not just about you. You need to think about the music. And so I started to, because I love my father, like I respect my father. He's a great musician and
Right.
he really motivates me. He's one of my biggest inspirations. And so I really took that to heart. So ever since then, I've always just been looking at my music like, all right, I'm here tracking the songs. and I'm saying, all right, the song's going this way, and especially if it's a worship song, like you can feel when the emotions are changing and stuff, and you gotta say, all right, I know this idea can help carry the music to where it's going.
All right.
So it's all about that mentality. Like placement comes with mentality. Like you have to train your brain to be disciplined enough to analyze the music, not just play it, but analyze it and figure out what fits best. Because you can have a run that fits, but it's different when you have a run that fits properly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So that's what I would say to anybody who wants to develop placement. Is that don't think about music at oh it's just another song. Think about it like it's there in front of you, like it's laid out in front of you. Like it's that old game you used to play as a kid where you have the little cutout shapes and you have the shapes and you need to put them in place. Yeah, think about it like that. You're trying
Yeah.
to finish the puzzle.
Yeah, you're trying to make the puzzle make as much sense as possible, right? With
Exactly.
the pieces that you add.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's a really good answer, man. Um, so before we wrap up, do you have any questions for me?
Um, when you coming to Jamaica?
Man, let me tell you something. One of these days, it's going to happen for sure. Once all this COVID stuff gets out of the way, and
man,
you know,
man.
I'm looking forward to ways that we can collaborate across the region. And uh, I definitely want to visit everywhere in person to facilitate that for sure. Yeah, man.
For sure, man. Like I'm just ready for this COVID thing to be over because I wanted to meet a lot of people. Like I wanted to come to St. Lucia and meet a lot of you guys. I wanted to go to the Virgin Islands. I wanted to meet Thea.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
take a trip to America, meet Kiera, and then I have some friends in Antigua. Josan that sent his video earlier.
yeah, yeah.
So there are a lot of guys where we're just like if you ever saw the conversations between us, you thought we've known each other for years. But really and truly, it's just like a couple months. But
Right.
the the way how we just connect with each other and everybody is just so straightforward and humble with each other.
Right.
It's amazing and just the idea of getting to meet them one day, it's amazing.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and it's going to happen. All we have to do is just be patient, and yeah, it'll happen for sure.
Get mask, everybody.
keep the mask on to make sure we get back to normal. Yeah, man. So, um, you know, I was going to bring up the whole U.S. election thing, but I'm kind of glad we didn't talk about it because everybody else will talk about it. So the listeners, y'all don't really need to hear about it from us, okay?
You know, hey, there are a lot of live streams on YouTube. If you want to know what's happening there, YouTube.
Yeah, man. Most definitely. So I make it a habit and tradition to always ask any guest to use this platform to say anything that you would like to. Just imagine all the musicians of the Caribbean region sitting right in front of you right now, waiting for you to say something. What do you say to them?
Well, first, I'd want to say to those that, because this is a real situation where a lot of guys, especially now in the COVID time where business is slow, a lot of guys are getting dejected from music because money might not be rolling in as much as it should,
All right.
or they're just losing their passion. I would say just stay strong and be true to yourselves because in the end things must get better and the world needs us. Like the world needs music and the world needs musicians and singers. And
All right.
especially here in the Caribbean, like I know a lot of people talk about, oh, America's like the music mecca of the world, like all the aliens are there, but we've got some amazing people here in the Caribbean, a lot of amazing people. And I would just want to encourage everybody to just keep believing in yourselves, keep pushing. Never ever believe you're not good enough, because that's where it all starts. The mind. Once you believe something, if
Right.
you believe you're good enough, it will affect your whole approach. It will affect your whole demeanor. It will affect everything for you. So I would just say be confident, be true, stay humble, stay humble.
Yeah.
Humbleness will carry you far. Humility, that should be like right here with you as a musician.
Right. Yeah, man. No, absolutely. And that was very, very well said. I think you were practicing that because that was that was beautifully said. Yeah, that was very well said, man. And
Next president, next president.
yeah, but yeah, absolutely respect for that, man. And I hope the
Appreciate it.
listeners really appreciate that sentiment because those are very key concepts, I believe, to success on this musical journey that we're all on. All right.
Yeah, man.
So, boss, if there's nothing else, it's been good having you in the green room with me today. Um,
It's been
uh,
awesome.
yeah, the guys in the arena. If you're looking at this, let me know if you want to join in. We can talk about it. Uh, this has been a great episode. I really enjoyed talking to you, and hopefully we can do this again sometime.
Sure, man.
Yeah. All right. Have a good night,
Yeah,
boss.
Simple